Welcome to the special edition of Hannity. Now, we've heard a lot of talk over the past few weeks about how the American people do not want the U.S. intervening in Syria. So tonight, for the full hour, we are giving the show up to you, the American people, to hear what the average citizen has to say. Now, pollster Frank Luntz assembled a bipartisan focus group to debate the issue of Syria and much, much more. So let's go out to Washington, D.C. and get right to the group and Frank.
I've been doing testing of world leaders now for about 2 decades. And in all that time, I don't think I've ever had a score as bad as this. Let's take a look.
We're not sure that chemical weapons, even though you have seen the videotape, even though you've seen the bodies, even though your own officials have been there.
I haven't finished. Our soldiers in another area were attacked chemically. Our soldiers. They went to the hospital as casualties because of chemical weapons. But in the area where they said the government used chemical weapons, we only had video and we only have pictures and allegations. We're not there. Our forces, our police, our institutions don't exist. How can you talk about what happened if you don't have evidences?
Do any of you trust him? Any of you?
No.
So what should we do with him?
Treat him like the dictator that he is. He's killed 100,000 of his own people. You got to marginalize him and somehow get a plan to get him out of there.
Do you want to kill him?
No.
Who wants to kill him here? Raise your hands if you want to kill him. You actually want to see him executed?
Yeah.
He
killed 100,000 of his own people. Why should he live?
Why should it be the U.S.'s decision who lives and who dies?
Well, we're doing that now. Obama has a hit list.
Who's replacing him? Yeah, seriously, who takes his place? It could be worse.
We are a constitutional republic, not a constitutional democracy. Assad isn't part of a constitutional republic. He doesn't matter. We can't, but he still controls a sovereign country. We don't have the right to go in and alter that sovereign country.
You guys agree with that?
We can't trust him.
Go ahead.
If he is using chemicals of mass destruction against his own people, I suspect that he is a bit crazy. But we can't just go and annihilate a dictator, and there has to be some sort of diplomatic approach to it prior to diplomatic. And also, yes, treating him with dignity and respect. We're never going to get anywhere if we try to strong-arm every dictator.
I just don't think that we do have an opportunity for diplomacy in this area of the country with these type of people.
The problem is that how do you treat somebody with respect when they lie to your face? He sat there and he talked to the reporter and he said, I can't confirm that we have weapons and then just a couple days ago he says, I'll give them all up.
But I don't understand. If people think he's crazy and he's a dictator, then why don't we bomb him? Why aren't we? Why does everyone disagree with using force?
Go ahead.
Right now we got to worry about the splinter in our own eye before we start worrying about the plank in someone else's eye.
What does that mean?
I don't understand. Been around for decades.
We have so many issues right now in this
we're
country.
Always going to
we're
have
talking about
issues.
right now taking vengeance, and vengeance is not to deal with our military.
It's not about vengeance, though. It's
that
about,
is after the fact. It's a moral obligation when it's a moral obligation when people are alive after the fact. And this is after
an
the fact.
extreme line on the world stage.
We don't know. There's no conclusive evidence. He didn't give any conclusive evidence. He did not give any conclusive evidence.
The game is there's never been leadership. Never been leadership here. Yeah. If he had started off, we would have understood it. If he went in there and did what he was supposed to do or didn't go in there and say it, his leadership would have helped a heck of a lot. Yeah. He needed just to make a commitment. He needed not to waffle back and forth and back and forth.
To do what?
He could have acted to do whatever he wants to do. To demand what he wanted to do and what's going on. That's what Bush did.
Jason.
Bush went in there and did what he's supposed to do, whether he thought we agreed or we didn't.
Syria is the same problem with the rest of the Middle East. There are no better options. Iraq, we're not better off for having gone to Iraq. In fact, we destabilized it and made Iran the power in that region. Afghanistan might be marginally better off.
Therefore,
let sleeping dogs lie. We need to stay out of it. If we don't have, because we don't have a better result than what they have.
It's a revolution. We have to
let it play out. So we should not be involved at all.
Don't interfere with the revolution, but you have to take the chemical weapon option off the table for Assad.
And how do you do that if you don't get tough with him?
They're saying that we need to have an agreement that we can verify President Obama said it.
If you cannot trust Assad and he is using chemical weapons, we play on a world stage. The United States is part of a big global conglomerate. We are not alone. We have to act.
I think killing your own people and gassing them is a war crime. And if we believe that, let's build a real coalition of international partners and go in and overthrow him.
I just feel like we're the Lone Ranger. You know, we're out here on all by ourselves. There's nobody else coming to aid and assist us.
Can I ask you a direct question?
Sure.
That's one of the reasons why people voted for Barack Obama in 2008, is that he would improve America's standing across the globe. What does it say? What does it say that this president, who was elected to reestablish relations, has no global support? What does that say?
He feels like he's being punked on the world stage right now.
He's being punked?
That's the same thing I said. He said global support before. He had global support with Libya.
He punked other countries in thinking that there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So now people are tired of crying wolf. I think at this point we're very war-weary, but something needs to be done.
That's the point. That is the point. We're trying to figure out. You watched him. You watched how Assad responded. We need to wrap up.
We also know he's working with Iran, trying to destabilize Iraq. And somebody down here earlier said, we don't know if we'll get a democracy if he goes. We don't. But we know if he stays, we're going to have a dictatorship. And we know he's going to be working against the Americans in Iraq, in Iran, in Afghanistan, and anywhere else in the Middle East to destabilize.
Who agrees with that? Who disagrees with that? So even on something so clear-cut, we still don't have a consensus. And you know what? As this debate goes on, I don't think we are ever going to have a consensus. The president's going to have to act. Congress is going to have to decide whether or not to support. And let's hope that something happens.
And thanks, Frank. Coming up, the group tackles Congress's role in all of this and how they think our commander-in-chief is doing in that role. So let's head back out to Washington, D.C., where pollster Frank Luntz is standing by. Frank.
The question for the American people is not just what is the role of the president, but what should Congress be doing? Should it voice its will? Should it represent the people who put them in office? Should they do some sort of comparison between the two? The president spoke about the role of Congress. Let's take a look at how our group responded with their dials.
Even though I possess the authority to order military strikes, I believed it was right, in the absence of a direct or imminent threat to our security, to take this debate to Congress. I believe our democracy is stronger when the president acts with the support of Congress. And I believe that America acts more effectively abroad when we stand together. This is especially true after a decade that put more and more war-making power in the hands of the president and more burdens on the shoulders of our troops, while sidelining the people's representatives from the critical decisions about when we use force.
So tell me, what is the role of Congress? What should Congress do?
Congress needs to evaluate what the president wants to do, ask questions, have hearings, and make a vote on a resolution on the act.
But they don't have to support him.
They do not have to support him. I think they should, because we need to show a unified front to the world community, but I don't think they have to support him now.
And I vote for my congressional representatives not so they'll vote exactly how I want them to all the time, but so they will make the best informed decision, because I don't have all of the information all the time that they do.
For once, I'm glad to see Congress having a debate that doesn't fall along party lines, so they don't all wake up in the morning and doing what their leadership says. I think it's refreshing.
It's refreshing that everyone seems to be voting no.
There are a few. Congressman from Virginia, and I wish I could remember his name. He was being interviewed on the radio, and he said, my constituents all believe that we shouldn't go into this bombing. And then suddenly he says, but that being said, I'm going to vote for it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
We have Congress for a reason, and that's to listen to the people. We have the Senate to listen to the president. Congress is supposed to listen to the people. Let them listen to the people. Let us give them advice. If they don't, vote their ass out.
And I think what's exciting that's going on here is because we are getting information from all different sources that you have liberals agreeing with super conservatives. You have all the Tea Party is working with the ACLU. With what's going on right now, because we're getting more and more information from various sources, and we're not just listening to the one official line. That's, to me, what's actually exciting, because all different types, independents, Republicans, Democrats are actually agreeing on things.
So help me here.
Like not going into Syria.
You have John Boehner and Nancy Pelosi on the same side.
It's Syria.
The last time that happened was never. And then you have, it seems like a majority of both political parties on the other side.
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, the problem is I think there's a lot more robust discussion amongst the people. It's less robust in Congress because they're mostly still driven by party, or they're driven by their key constituencies who really don't represent most voters.
They're professional politicians.
So until that changes, the vote in Congress is going to be the same thing. It's going to be scary.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a vote.
Why didn't they all say, this is so important, Obama thinks this is really crazy important, why don't we get back there? Why did they come back?
Why do you think they didn't?
Why didn't they come back? Because they really didn't want to have to vote on it.
Exactly. That's exactly why. They don't want to have to go on record on what they do or don't want to do on this issue because... Re-election. Bingo.
Isn't that their job?
Yeah. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, no.
In this case, Congress is, to me, less trustworthy because there's so much politicking involved, and they're much more concerned about getting reelected, whereas the president, he's, in a sense, this is his last term. He's a bit of a lame duck. So I trust his decision-making a little bit more on this.
So I want to vote from all of you. Who do you trust more? Congress, the president? You trust them both, or you trust none of them? Who trusts the president more than Congress? Raise your hands. Who trusts Congress more than the president? Raise your hands. Not too many. Who trusts both of them?
Neither of them.
Two of you. And who trusts neither of them?
Neither.
Okay. Well, we got a problem. We got a crisis in confidence. And the American people have spoken.
And more with Frank and the group right after the break. So how do they think President Obama is doing as commander-in-chief? The answer may surprise you.